Oh, there you go.
Fucking getting
So what do you want to start with?
All right, Nate. Well, dude, what's happening? Let's actually, let's start by tilting your mic up a little bit, cutting your head off.
Oh my camera.
Yeah, your camera.
I love my setup.
Welcome to working from home right now. Pain in the ass. That's funny. But we're making it work. All right, so a little late to start this thing. I was finishing up a round of PUBG. But either way, it was all good. We came in second. We've been obviously we've been streaming a lot lately. Everybody moving to home right now has kind of been able to allow us to do this. So I thought we maybe kind of kick things off and end it with the news. We always do the inside scoop for the TV show, but at the same time, I want to be a little more conversational with our audience and see what we can do to have people with us and talk about the latest and what's happening and all that kind of stuff, right? So either way, the world of news this lately has kind of been interesting with consoles just on the rise and all that stuff. And we had Inside Xbox just kind of have their little spiel, and then from there on the same day you also get the PlayStation 5 controller reveal. So it's been a unique situation to be in lately and to see where these consoles are headed. But for me, the rise of the new consoles and the hype behind them is always an exciting time. I always look forward to see what's going to happen and who's coming with what, and what new features are we going to be able to experience and stuff like that. So that's the coolest part for me. I think looking forward is to what's new, and we got an inside look at the PlayStation 5 controller. So why don't we talk about the biggest thing? And I'm going to bring that up right now and put that on here for stream, is the take a look at the PlayStation 5 controller and what that's going to look like. And they gave us a few inside looks at the features and special features, and we knew some of them already, right? But now we're also able to see what the controller finally looks like and how it's going to somewhat function, and kind of go from there. But
it looks sweet, dude. It looks really clean.
Yeah, did you like the look of it? How do you feel about this new controller?
I think it's a huge upgrade from the PS4 controller. In my opinion, it just looks really slick, man. I love the white with the little blue glow and like the black undertone. I think it's really clean, man. Honestly, huge improvement. And just even the shape, it looks like, dare I say, it looks a little more like an Xbox controller, a little more formed. So it looks a little less crampy for my bigger hands. And I find a lot of people with bigger hands usually don't, like PlayStation controllers because they're just a little smaller.
Yeah,
but this just looks bigger. I mean, I can't exactly tell because I'm not holding it.
Sure.
But the overall design, it looks more gamer friendly, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it does look more like the Xbox controller itself. So
obviously they kept the sticks the same because that's their trademark.
Yeah, they did, right? It is the staple when it comes to Sony, in the fact that they're always using the dual analog sticks side by side, right? It's never spaced off centered, kind of like even now with the Switch controllers, right? The Switch Pro controller, that's offset too. It's not the similar. You see Stadia controller and PlayStation stay the same. The both dual log sticks down below, and some people don't like that at all. They don't like that comfort, and it takes a little get used to. But the form factor, the shape of the PS5 controller really resembles the look of the Xbox controller.
Yeah,
in my opinion. I think, well, you know what? A lot of people love the Xbox controller though, so I can kind of see I think there's like a happy medium here, but they still want to stick with the analog sticks going below. Two tones. That was a bit of a shock to see this already. Like, this is something you kind of see integrated later on, and allows them the ability then to remarket the controller and allow you to customize it. You see Xbox, how they are allowing you to go in and completely redesign your own controller, right? So you're able to go in and pick your own colors and stuff like that. So I'm kind of wondering now if that is what Sony's thinking about as well, is here's a cool controller. Like, this is a cool ass controller, man. I like this controller. I think it looks sick. It's got a couple new features. We'll get to that in a second. But the biggest thing that really stands out is obviously the form factor and the look of the controller. And I think they're going to allow you to then redesign your controller similar to what Xbox allows you to do. And this way, they're getting, like, how many controllers are you going to have now moving forward with the PlayStation 5? And, like, you're already going to need another controller. So you're just going to go out and customize your own controller so it's more like your style. I think this is cool. I think it's sleek. I'm curious to see if the PlayStation 5 comes out as a white console or a black console, because you see both tones here.
I bet you it's going to be kind of like that Stormtrooper look. Maybe it'll be primarily white with black undertones. I think that could look really nice.
That's possible. That is absolutely possible.
This is one thing I kind of like. I know this might upset some people, and it's whatever, but I just don't care for a stupid microphone in my controller. I use a headset 95% of the time.
Sure.
And then, why have something that wastes your battery and, in my opinion, usually sounds like a tin can? Like the PlayStation controller, I was playing baseball and it screamed at me. I was like, what the heck?
I love that feature.
I hate it. I actually think it's
loved it.
I think it's like a toy, like it's toyish. It's like I'm playing with one of those toy microphones.
Yeah,
you yelled.
You think it's gimmicky?
Yeah, I think so. But like, it does. Like, some people like it, but like I said, dude, I think the hardcore gamers use headsets. And what's this little quiet undertone gonna do? Like, it doesn't do anything; it just drains your battery.
Well, okay, so there's the other side of it too. Right now, if you grab your PS4 controller, right, and everybody is talking about this as well, and this is one of the issues with the PS4 controller is the fact that light bar sucks the battery down on your controller in no time. So they allowed us to go in and modify how sensitive that light bar is, tone it down, turn it off, other functions that allow us to save our battery consumption for the controller. And now you see them switch away from it being on the face front, not totally going away from it, but adding like little accents. So that blue on the side of the touchpad is our new light bar. Slick. It's sleek looking. I like it. It's not. Honestly, I found the light bar really didn't do a damn thing. It was supposed to set the tone, but
in my opinion, man, I thought it made the controllers just look cheap. You had a cheap microphone with this cheap light. It just, like, if I have my PS4 controller, I could put it next to my Halo controller, and it is like a night and day difference between quality.
Well, that's
anyways,
fair.
Moving forward though, you have the PS5 controller. It looks top notch. It looks just slick, and all these features that they're adding, like the bumper and the the bumpers and the triggers.
Yeah,
they look really nice.
A lot more form fitting, I think, moving forward. You see the iteration over the years of PlayStation and its initial controller, and then getting into the DualShocks and all that. Now this is called a DualSense, so they've gone away from DualShock and calling it DualSense. That's because they're kind of getting into the feedback of, the haptic feedback, and then the audio is coming into a play as well. So now moving in with the haptic feedback, instead of your essential rumbles that we're used to, when you kind of get shot, you feel that your controller shakes, right? And then they've got different degrees of what level your controller will rumble at. But now you're actually going to get that sense of feedback. So for us, playing Rainbow Six, for example, right? If we get shot from the left, we're kind of going to get that feedback in the controller of getting shot from the left-hand side. Not just the whole controller shaking, oh crap, I'm getting shot, but from where? You're going to pick up on that haptic feedback, as well as when you're using the triggers. So they made the triggers sensitive, so you can get that. If you're, especially for a race car game, the harder you pull down on the triggers, right, the faster you're gonna. So you can modify your speed and stuff like that. This time, though, moving forward, for the example I've heard is if you pull back a bow and arrow, you're gonna feel the tension kind of push your fingers in the triggers and stuff like that. So other sensitive levels are coming into the controller. I think it's going to help immerse us more within the games that we're not used to. Something we've been able to see and kind of get feedback in VR, but not from a controller standpoint.
I was going to say, that just sounds like it's going to just bring the immersion level to a lot of these games, like, just huge.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
awesome.
I saw. So obviously the touchpad is still there.
I
That
don't like
is.
it. Sorry, that's just me again being whatever. I don't like a big button in the middle of my thing that I accidentally press all the time.
Well, see, I don't typically use it. I don't find so. Moving with all these,
Is
I
it
don't
a
want to call
touchpad?
them.
It's a touchpad too,
It
right?
is a touchpad, right?
Oh,
But
exactly. Another. Sorry.
so
Continue.
well, the PlayStation Vita had the back touch, and that thing was absolutely useless. But some people were actually able to implement, like some developers implemented it pretty well. Moving into the PS4 and their controller and the audio, having the speaker on the front of the controller, and then having the touchpad. Sometimes people, the developers were using it, but others wouldn't. They wouldn't use it at all, right? So it depends on if everybody jumps on board and uses it smartly instead of just using it as a gimmick. And a lot of times, especially when it came to the PS Vita, a lot of it felt really gimmicky compared to
Yeah.
wanting to actually use it, right? So like if you play Golden Abyss, you had to swipe certain parts of the actual screen because it had a touch screen, so you're like swiping and you're smearing off dirt and things like that. So I don't want to see a gimmick moving in with the controller, but I want to be able to see smart uses in it. I always liked when you use a touchpad and it brings up the map. I always
See,
liked
like
that
that-
feature.
That's kind of cool, dude. But I just, again, like a touchpad is more like a phone game. Like that's what I swipe on my phone, and that's kind of the way I envisioned it. Like I don't, when I'm playing Division or a shooter or Destiny, anything, why do I need to use a touchpad? Like I have analog sticks. For me, it's kind of like, I don't know. Like you said, they need to utilize it in a good way that maybe everyone can maybe get their hands using it. Sorry, pardon me.
Yeah,
But
no, absolutely. And they brought in an actual microphone now. So in the PS4 controller, the DualShock 4, we had a speaker added, which I liked. You didn't, clearly. They added the light bar and they added the touchpad, and now this time it seems like the audio and the haptic feedback are the big features moving forward with the next DualSense controller. But they've also added in a microphone instead of having to use but we always play with our headphones which have mics on them which are of better quality. So how tinny do you think this thing is going to sound?
and how well is it gonna pick up your voice? Is it gonna pick up the TV volume? Because you're obviously not using a headset at that point if you're, using that microphone. So I don't know. Microphones are pretty tricky, man. You have to have a really nice headset for it to not pick up any sort of extra noise, and it basically needs to be right next to your mouth, kind of thing. So
Well, exactly. You're not going to hold the
I can
controller up
see
by
how
your
that
face.
works, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's almost again like a useless feature, but maybe your headset breaks and just the microphone part breaks, and then you could just talk into your controller. I don't know.
I don't
That
know.
just seems like a far-fetched scenario.
Hopefully there's more feedback too when it comes to the actual analog sticks, and they've gone away with the share button and called it the create button instead, isn't it, right? So I'm curious to see what they have up their sleeve, because they obviously haven't expanded too much details wise when it comes to what they mean by create. So are we going to go in and make our own video like they have? I believe it's called the Share Factory is what it's called on PlayStation 4. But I think I've used it maybe once or twice. Now, obviously what we do is we edit on our PCs, and a lot of people do, and we create our videos that way. But for some of those who are just looking to make a screenshot or maybe edit like a GIF, maybe this is their opportunity to kind of get into this different way of sharing and creating content that we don't have to then send to our PCs, edit it there, and then upload it. Instead, it's just a matter of one button. Hopefully, they reinvent the Share Factory system itself and give us better tools on there. And maybe we wouldn't have to do so much going to PC, and maybe it can make a bigger splash when it comes to sharing on social channels and things like that.
Man, both Xbox has the Upload Studio, and it's pretty good, but it's pretty simple. So I'd like to see both of these guys do something really good with the Upload Studio. I want it to be not quite as good as the programs we use, but just have some of these extra features and make it cleaner. Definitely, I think that would be really sweet. This create button, I like how they called it creative button or whatever. It's it's kind of edgy.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I'm curious to see what they're going to bring into it, what programs that we're going to be able to utilize, and what implemented software are they going to have so we can edit and create. Like, so you look at Dreams, for example. Like, their whole creating suite within Dreams is phenomenal, and it's a whole other level. But I'm not expecting that kind of implementation. But at the same time, what we are dealing with Share Factory on the PlayStation 4 right now is really, really basic, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely curious to see where that's going to go. Overall, though, man, I'm really impressed by the PS5 DualSense controller. It makes me hyped to get going with the next gen stuff. Like, I want to see more, right? Show us more of the box. Like, obviously, Xbox is really showing off a lot of their stuff and what they're bringing to the table. Obviously, they haven't shown all their cards. But at the same time, like, where everybody's still waiting on the price, what's the price going to be at? That, I think, is going to be one of the biggest factors. And I think a lot of us are really a little, especially in these times right now with COVID-19 being such a big factor, and a lot of people I know of getting laid off from jobs, and there's even things in our industry getting held up, and I kind of am curious what to see. What do you think we're going to get when it comes to the launch of the PlayStation 5? How many titles do you think we're going to get at launch that are exclusive titles? You think so? Obviously, we got The Last of Us Part 2 just announced as being delayed. We had Iron Man VR delayed, right, due to COVID-19. And we talked about this as well, because The Last of Us Part 2 cannot go just with a digital form factor. That is impossible. This is one of the biggest tentpole staples. Like, this is a huge title right now for Sony and Naughty Dog. So for them to not be able to put it in stores and on shelves, they're losing a huge market there. So they can't just wait and kind of just toss it out for half the audience, because when you bring a game to launch, you launch it once, right? You don't launch and then relaunch. You have seen them, like you've seen No Man's Sky, for example, launch, not go very well, and then over the years work themselves out of this kind of disaster at a start, and then like they're beloved now, but at the forefront when they first launched, that was kind of a disaster. So Sony doesn't want to do that. And The Last of Us Part 2 is not going to be that kind of issue. It is looking like, obviously, none of us have had hands-on with it, but it looks like a huge, massive, well-produced game with a story that you don't want to spoil, because that's another thing, right? Like Final Fantasy, we saw last week, launch in certain areas, certain territories, but not to everybody.
Yeah.
So you gotta see, what do you think's coming to the PlayStation 5 at launch? You gonna have remasters, remakes, new titles? Do you think we're gonna get, because my other concern too is Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is going to get delayed as well.
Well, that's the thing, like we said, everything's kind of getting delayed. So
yeah.
I mean, the thing is too, PlayStation and Microsoft went out and said that the consoles aren't being delayed till they're not going to be pushed to next year. So they're for sure coming. So with these games getting pushed, dude, it's really up in the air. I don't know, man. Xbox One and PS4, how many exclusives did they have when they launched?
Yeah,
I think it's usually around a handful, isn't it? It's nothing
typically.
Like I think Xbox had Dead Rising 3, but I don't remember it. Yeah, Dead Rising 3, Forza, Rise.
Yep. I like Rise, but
I love Rise. I loved it.
But
Killer Instinct. So I think it's usually between 5 to maybe 10 games. And I'm pretty sure Sony wasn't that much more. They had like Knack, and forgive me, I don't remember all the other ones, but I know that fair. They had, like at least close to that number. So I predict probably around the same thing. Probably at least 5 titles, 2 to 3 big knockout parks. Like Xbox is gonna have Forza. I guarantee you that's gonna be a launch title.
Yeah, Halo,
and then maybe some other. Oh yeah, that's
right.
Of course, the biggest one of them all.
For Sony though, like we're supposed to have The Last of Us Part 2 just in like months. Like, well, we're supposed to have it in months, but now it's been delayed infinitely. So who knows where that is? Are they gonna hold it down for the PlayStation 5 launch?
I hope so.
I think so.
At this point, they should, because
But it's a PS4 game, not a PS5. That's the other side, right? So we're gonna get into what Stadia's up to here like shortly. But we saw the launch of Stadia and have no exclusives. But I think you're gonna see exclusives launch on PlayStation for sure, and they kind of need to. Honestly, right? They have the ball rolling on their side. It's in their favor, so I can't see them not like. I don't see Sony slowing down.
No, I don't think so.
But I don't think we're gonna get Spider-Man 2. I don't think if they brought Horizon Zero Dawn 2 as a launch, man, that would be awesome.
Oh.
I don't think we're ready yet for God of War. I don't think that is gonna happen yet. But
nope.
All right, like. So apparently there's
it's hard
games
to say, man. Like
for the PS5.
They're gonna have maybe not exclusives, but they're gonna have some of the bigger titles. Like I can't remember. I think Battlefield 6 is gonna be. It was confirmed to be on there,
right?
And then there was a couple other of those AAA titles. So there are gonna be a bunch of big games, but exclusive titles, like I don't know, man. Like you said, all those really big ones, they're not coming anytime soon. Last of Us, it's a PS4 game. I still think the thing is PS4 games on PS4 Pro when they're running perfectly probably look pretty damn close to a PS5 game. So
absolutely, like,
so maybe they could get away with it being a PS5 launch title. I don't know, man. It's really it's pretty sad because they're gonna kind of drown themselves if they don't launch it on PS5 so close to their launch of PS5.
Well, so I think
that's the way to.
So, oh man, like it's a weird time, right? So when The Last of Us launched, it launched on PS3, but then came to PS4. So we're definitely going to see that come with The Last of Us Part 2. But now are they going, okay, crap, let's not launch it right now. Obviously, because of the situation everybody's in, that we're all in and experiencing. But at the same time, now does this give them the ability to go back and maybe fine tune a couple more details so they can get it to launch on the PS5?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Is there anyone watching?
We got one, so I don't know who's watching, but yeah, we'd love to hear a comment for sure. But yeah, it's unique to see what could happen. But there's rumors of God of War 2, Spider-Man 2. Those are kind of givens that those are in the works. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, The Order 1886 is getting a sequel, possibly. There's also
Bloodborne
rumors.
2,
what's that?
Bloodborne 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, PlayStation All Stars 2.
Oh
man, like I played the crap out of PlayStation All Stars. Had a great time with it. To see a sequel, I'd be a little surprised, but it is possible. I don't know, especially now that they have mostly the rights to Spider-Man as well. I wonder if they could bring in Spider-Man.
Oh man,
like you never saw Crash.
I loved PlayStation All Stars.
I had a blast.
I was
playing
pretty devastated when they closed down.
Yeah, it definitely hurts. So, I don't know. Unique to see what's going to happen in the future. But overall, wrapping this back up, the PlayStation 5 controller was revealed. I like it. I'm excited to see where it's going. At the same time, couple little things like that microphone being a little. I don't know if I really want to do that because typically when you and I are gaming, we have headphones on and a mic right attached to it. We're not going to hold this microphone right up to our face. And how much is that going to capture everybody else's noise? The light bar I thought was a cool. It's still there, but
here's the cool thing I've read, and it's totally true. Microsoft, Xbox, they've built a good controller. 360 was like it kind of stems back from like Xbox Original's second version of their controller.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that. And they've just built upon this really good design and refined it and made it good. PlayStation, they've really kind of like they always kind of take a leap forward. At least it seems that way from PS2 to PS3. Yep. I don't know the exact things, but they added some pretty cool features.
Sure.
And then now from PS3 to PS4, they had the light bar, they had the microphone, they had the whole
speaker,
Bluetooth. Not the microphone, sorry, the speaker.
Yeah.
And now again, moving forward to PS5, it's even more innovative. So it's like PS5, they're kind of. It's not that they're trying to figure out their controller, but it seems like they're kind of.
I think they're refining the controller.
Yeah, like this one compared to 4, it's definitely more refined. But again, they're kind of adding some more things, trying to like. they're just, I don't know what the word I'm looking
They're
for
always
is, unfortunately.
iterating
But
on their next gen controller, which I appreciate because I always want to see. Like, I like the new fancy toy, right? That kind of,
Yeah.
ooh, look at the fancy bells and whistles kind of thing. That's always cool. So I'm definitely curious to see how that is when we actually get hands on. Because man, like this fall, it's not that far away, but at the same time, I'm like, man, that's months away. Like we're still months out yet. Like we still have to go through summer and whatever. But I want that next gen console, and I want the Xbox Series X, and to see these things. And the more we hear about it, the more hype I get behind and want to keep going. And man, it's cool. Like I just can't wait. And I'd like to see what the controller is. I like where it's heading, but we haven't seen too much as far as Xbox and what they're doing with their controller.
yeah, not really. They just kind of shown their more recent version of the Xbox controller with the new D-pad.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, which has always been, I think, Xbox's biggest struggle. Looks like we got Scotty jumping in.
Hello.
Hey, Scott. Let me get you situated here, dude.
All right.
Welcome.
Uh-huh.
I'm here.
So that just changed everything with you jumping in.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That was my fault. I told him to hop in like 20 minutes ago.
Yep. That really kind of fucked up everything.
Hey, we're professional though, so it's okay.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Backup plan, right?
No, there was no backup plan.
Ah, no.
All right, let me see. Let me see what I can jumble around here. But yeah, we were just talking about the PlayStation 5 controller, Scott, and how we're kind of pretty excited for it.
Oh, I found a really cool picture of that. I gotta send that to the group chat.
Is it funny or is it cool?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really cool.
I could only imagine. Huh. Have you checked out the PlayStation 5 controller, Scott? What do you think?
Yeah, I just sent a picture of it. I can't believe it looks like that. It's so cool.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's what I mean. All right, let me see if I can get Scott situated here.
That's funny. Could you imagine they went with that design? Oh,
I can't wait, personally. I think that's leading
I'm gonna
edge.
try and show this to the camera.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's the old school boomerang, man. They tried, absolutely. Yeah, no, they
See,
tried
I think
that.
it was just.
They've
think it was
evolved
just-
from the boomerang.
Yes, they.
I think it was just
certainly
10 years too early.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny that they've kind of gone back to that format in a sense, right? But they've really. So Nate and I were saying how they've kind of really followed the format of, the Xbox One controller.
The whole angle and overall look of it. Obviously, Drew and I were saying, the sticks are never going to change, and they have the big share button. But just the overall shape in itself just looks a lot less kind of cramped style like the PS4 or PS3.
Yeah.
Just looks more Xboxy.
I guess they've abandoned that. They're trying to, fit it on that tiny little toy.
I
The shape
do
of
like it
doesn't-
though. I like the form factor. I'm excited about the controller. I think the controller is cool. So
Yeah,
I
actually, it
anxious to
does
see.
look pretty cool.
Where our biggest concern though was the microphone that they've added to it. We're a little curious to see how well that's going to work and implement.
Yeah, because it might be the death of their party chat system or whatever, their game chat, because Xbox Live and Connect kind of had that same issue with open microphone and just too much sound, so people just would mute everybody, and it just kind of killed off the community there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, the Kinect, that was... The thing is, if you had friends that didn't really like to treat your Xbox that well, they would exploit the crap out of it. Xbox on, Xbox this, Xbox this. They're like, oh my goodness, I had to unplug it.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was funny. You just walk in, you're like, "Oh, what are you playing?" It'd be a shame if someone to tell it to turn off.
So what's the next thing we're talking about there, Drew? So I guess you're still...
I'm still, yeah, you guys are going to have to carry this for a second while I sort Scott out. Now that you just kind of jumped mid-process here on us.
Yeah, my bad. I had a quite regular lapse of memory. I went like an idiot to Walmart.
Why?
It's Good Friday. It's closed.
Oh my god.
Well, I was like, man, I was ready to face the bread lines. I was like, fine. I brought my Switch. I'll just wait it out. I'll get in, even though it's 50 people a half hour, basically.
Yeah.
I'm like, but they were closed. Even better.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm ordering food after all.
All right, Scott. So we got details on the new Overwatch character. I don't know if you saw anything about that. Check your email. I just sent you the new
yes.
character, Echo.
Yeah, so I think they teased Echo before. They
So
might have
this
given
character is a damage character, and she's built around the idea of versatility.
cool. But damage is usually just kind of damage, so it can adapt to a tank and support like features on the fly. Is this going to be like a Lucio kind of thing, where you have like 2 different modes?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds
That could
pretty
be-
cool.
That could be cool. I like
But
the idea.
one thing
of-
to note is that this is probably going to be the last character in Overwatch.
Really?
And yeah, they said, well, in the article, they basically say that there are more tank and support characters coming, but you have to wait until Overwatch 2.
Yeah. until the launch of Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I can see that absolutely. Now at this point, right? Because they're gearing up for the next wave. They don't want to sit there and bring everything. They want you to jump forward with the game, not sit back and wait.
Well, interestingly, though, when you say that, they're doing something kind of weird where any character in Overwatch 2 comes out, it'll also be on Overwatch 1.
Yeah, they.
So I guess
Yeah, like it's a
you-
weird system right now.
the characters go cross back and forth. Yeah, so they don't want you to miss out if you're in Overwatch 1 still, but I guess they're going to have hopefully a lot more content, hopefully a single player in
Yeah.
Overwatch 2. I don't know how much I'm speaking.
I think
out of
I think
turn, but-
Overwatch 2 is going to be really cool. I think they're going to kind of nail this one out of the park and draw
Oh, wait.
a lot
I-
more of a crowd.
I'm remembering seeing a trailer that showed campaign to Overwatch.
Yeah, they're bringing the campaign this time,
So
right?
so then I'm very
Man, co-op campaign, that could be really fun, man.
Oh yeah.
You think
Now
they're
they do
gonna
the
do co-op?
events. Yeah, because the events have always been 4-player, and they're like a single player PVE, or not. Sorry, not single player. They're like a PVE thing, not PvP.
Yeah, I
And,
actually had a lot of fun with those events. It was kind of like a survival mode, but not quite. Like you had a couple of objectives you had to do, but it was tough. And
Yeah.
at least they've had multiple in the past, but the couple that I've done in the past were tough.
Or it'll be like hold out for so long, and then move the platform through King's. The one I'm thinking of, King's Landing, or I think it's called, but King's something. But
Man,
that
alright.
one was
I
that
got
one
it.
was hard.
Scott,
Nice.
you pain in the ass. Jeez. Man, that came out of nowhere. I was like, whoa! What the hell's going on here? It just,
Yeah, maybe I
gotta
should have won
shuffle a bunch of
first.
shit here. Yeah, a heads up would have been nice. You just completely screwed up everything. The whole position was off. I'm like, oh, well, I'll figure this out in a second here. We'll just throw up the PlayStation 5 controller a little bit longer. Now that we're done.
That's funny.
So this is the last Overwatch character coming to the game right now. When's Overwatch 2 actually launching? Does anybody know? Have they announced when it's launching? Or they just said like gearing up towards the game itself?
Yeah, I do not know a launch date. I'm not sure if there
I don't know if they actually revealed it though.
is. No,
Right.
no,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. But
I'm not seeing anything.
I'm
kind of.
predicting at the very earliest late 2021 because they did. I'm pretty sure it was.
you think that long? So
It was a
this is the
fall launch
last
back in the
Overwatch character we're gonna get, and because they're obviously working on Overwatch 2, you think they're gonna be 2021
Oh, you
late
think
or
it's gonna
early?
be this year though? I don't know if I could see it. Maybe they will do. Maybe it'll be Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, crossplay.
I could see it being
Man,
either
brutal.
a fall launch or I'd say
Let's just-
January,
I'm
February
gonna
at
look
the
up-
latest.
I'm gonna
when
look
did-
up when it launched.
Yeah, when did
the first
Overwatch
time.
1 initially launch?
So I'm pretty sure it was November.
Scott, you got
Might
great
have
time in there,
improved
buddy,
over.
because you and I are going to talk about the Stadia and what they just announced. Because you and I, we covered this on the news this week, but at the same time, I want to have a discussion about it. Because, man, I got a couple opinions, we'll call them.
Quickly to note in May 24th. So I was completely wrong. It's a spring title. So maybe next spring. I bet you that's my prediction. Then.
There we go.
Next spring.
Yeah, not this
One more
spring, right?
year.
Because you think we would have saw something more if it was going to be this spring. Obviously, we're in spring right now, so I don't see it coming. But man, I would
think it's
fall.
good, dude. I think it's a pretty good choice on their part. That gives the game to establish itself on the Switch for a year, get all the characters and everything. You know, I kind of leave everybody hungry for an entire year to
Sure.
want new content and then want to get Overwatch 2. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty smart.
No,
And I
that's
think
fair.
it will be a year.
I could see them doing it then, unless they really try and rush it for like Christmas or something. But I just this seems a little early.
I don't think so.
We would have seen something more by now.
Well, so what year did Overwatch come out?
2016.
2016. Man, that's a long time to be sitting on that one title and not have a sequel out by now. Like,
Yeah, well, look at Siege. They're never even gonna do a sequel, and they're kind of the same style of game in a sense.
ish, yeah, absolutely. No, I see where you're coming from there. But at the
Ish.
same time, Siege has already established, and they've stated right from the get go, their goal is to have 100 operators and not worry about a Rainbow Six Siege 2. And then with year 5, they're even dropping out of the 2 operators on launch when they launch a new year to going down to 1 instead, right? Because we've always had an attacker and a defender, and now we're only going to get one or the other, and we're not going to get both.
That's so weird.
I don't
I'm
like
not
it.
a fan of that.
I
like
think
that
that's
either.
kind of like an unbalanced thing, but I think it's obviously easier on the devs to focus on one operator.
Yeah, dude. Instead of making 8 new because that's 8. 8 new abilities over the course of a year, you have to make just 4, and then have all those balancing issues and all that stuff. So I get
Yeah.
it. I'm not completely hating, but it just sucks because like you always want more.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So now we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna get either an attacker or a defender. So yeah, Rainbow Six have always said that's their goal. But for Overwatch, I always expected Overwatch 2, and because there's no campaign in Overwatch 1 per se, they always, we got the cinematics, and those were incredible.
Yeah,
Right?
somehow emotional.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It just in a way you didn't
love
really
it.
expect for a game of this nature, and then for them to launch Overwatch 2, I kind of expected it. We would have seen it sooner. Like they announced it not too long ago, so I would have been nice if they came out with like a Fallout 4 initial thing, going, "Hey, you know what? Here's our next Fallout game. In this case, here's our next Overwatch game, and it's out in like 2 months." I think that would have had a bigger hype, bigger drop, bigger draw than now us sitting back and waiting and going, oh, by the way, here's the last character you're getting for Overwatch 1. We'll see you in Overwatch 2.
Well, maybe this is the primer for that, though. They're like, hey, wait for Overwatch 2. And they're like, but you don't have to wait long.
Yeah, that's
Like
it. Maybe you're right, Drew. Maybe it will be a fall title.
I would like to see it for fall because obviously holidays are always a busy season, especially for all of us gamers. Like there's one game after another come out and launch in fall. So then do you worry about Overwatch being cannibalized by all the other titles that are going to launch then? Because especially now you're seeing more and more AAA titles get pushed due to the COVID-19 and all the crap that's going on right now with that. Do they want to hold off and maybe wait until after the holiday season, where you see that bit of a lull in the gaming sphere that you can launch a big title like Overwatch 2, get more of the audience and draw them in?
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the commercial idea, and I hope they go with it.
Yeah, actually, it wouldn't
Because
bother me if
everything's
they
looking
did.
so glum from COVID that, I think we're going to have a nice resurgence. Or it's going to be really sad.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's definitely curious to see where they're going to head next. Scott, I want to bring up something that's kind of near and dear to our heart, but yet at the same time, a bit of a struggle, buddy. I'm talking about Stadia. So they just announced Stadia is free to play. The Stadia Pro is free to play for 2 months. Now, you and I have been paying for this for month over month over month, And
Yeah,
now
so we were actually founders as well.
Yes, we did. We came in as founders, bought it that way, got our controllers, and the lack of content on the console itself, or the system or platform, we'll call it, I guess you would say, was a little lackluster. And our biggest complaint was the fact that there was no huge AAA experience per se that it was going to draw us in like that. Like, you know what I mean? That we didn't have any exclusives, and that you had to buy in to the pro version of it if you were looking to play. And now they're giving it away for 2 months.
Yeah, this is well, no doubt they're struggling in the marketing department. We're not seeing the kind of population online in these servers that you would want to see from a service like this.
Yeah.
And these are some of these being even the free games. There's 8 now, I believe. Maybe even more than that, maybe 10 that they give with Stadia Pro, and there just isn't a whole lot of people on. So this is definitely a way to spur that on. But yeah, it doesn't sit well with us who have been paying this entire time. Now, I think maybe
Did they give you guys anything in lieu of, or
well,
in compensation of?
interesting, because 2 days before they announced this, I actually did cut off my subscription just based on the situation right now. So
Yep.
Yeah.
that's really all. I am still curious. I would still be interested in seeing where they go and what kind of things they offer a Stadia Pro member. It's not like I wanted to leave, but
No, of course.
there's not a whole lot. I don't know if I will be able to get those 2 months.
But it's you kind of wonder what the draw is at this point for Google Stadia, to be honest. Like, I picked up my controller the other day, and man, well, you and I have been playing Final Fantasy 15 of all places on Stadia, right? Like, and our review's going up next week, so look for that. But at the same time, when we're there, it feels empty because we checked out the multiplayer and there was just nobody around, right? So what is their draw to the console, especially now that everybody's been told to stay home? So who cares if you can take it on the go, because no one's going anywhere right now.
Yeah.
So that's one of their biggest marketing bits is just now thrown out the window just due to things happening within the world that obviously is out of everybody's control. But at the same time, I guess when someone takes over your TV and you want to keep playing on the Stadia, then there's your option. But you've also now got a battle against Project xCloud, which has already tripled the amount of games that are on their platform compared to Stadia. And 2 months for us founders just isn't really enough for me to... Why do I want to stick around for this thing? Hello, cat. I like the idea and the premise behind Stadia, and when it works really well for me, and I'm comfortable with the controller. I like the way it feels in my hand, but it's still, the things they said it was going to launch with still aren't there. It's like, why? Man, honestly, I'm a little frustrated with Google Stadia right now. As much as I love the platform, it lacks...
You have every right to be, man. You've put the money in. You've been there since the beginning, and they kind of had some things where they lied about features or they've taken things away. That it's just like there's not a lot of draw to the Google Stadia. They they came in when they really should not have. They were not ready. And It sucks. Like, I don't have a Stadia. I can't speak from personal experience, but I can speak from hearing from what you guys go through.
Because we talk about it a lot, to be honest.
Project xCloud is free to sign up for. Yeah. Most of you guys, I signed up for it. I actually think I did, but I applied for it. I haven't gotten into it, but most of you guys have. So, and you guys are saying for the most part too, it runs fairly smooth.
It does.
And the games are free access.
Where's the draw to Stadia? You have a cheaper controller. 2, you have a controller that just doesn't look as nice or operate as nice. Empty servers. Like, they should have maybe even introduced crossplay. They should have really tried to push for that to have any hopes for this, because to try to build a community, especially off older games that have already had their multiplayer established, like, just it's sad.
Yeah.
It
Well, the hardware is solid. I have to kind of correct you there, because the hardware is actually pretty nice. But
I like it too.
It's not it doesn't feel the same as an Xbox controller. There's definitely that. The familiarity's there. I think you're definitely right about the crossplay. If they had secured crossplay, that would be an entirely different deal.
Yeah. Instead, they secure cross save with only certain games. Like for me to pick up my Destiny 2 save and just continue on, and then bounce back to Xbox to play with you guys is freaking awesome. But when we go on multiplayer side only to play for Stadia, the audience just isn't there, and the games that they're bringing out on Stadia are outdated by not a year, 2 years, like 3 years. Some of these games are really kind of old at this point, and which is cool. But when you don't have the draw of, like, man, I can play Assassin's Creed on my Xbox, my PlayStation, and Stadia, and I've played them on all platforms, and it still runs the best on my Xbox One X. Not Stadia, but Stadia allows me to pick up and go and take it essentially wherever
But again,
I want.
you're stuck not having your save profile. Like that's the thing, man. Cross save would have saved them, or could save this company, because it's a lot more enticing to be like, okay, well then, yeah, I will just pick up and go, and then come back home and then play on my primary console.
Yeah, it would have been kind of like your secondary go-to system, right? You jump in, you go to your main, so you meet up with your friends and whatever. But then when you bounce out, you can kind of pick up your save and take off, and away you go, continue on. But here, it's just you're sitting there alone. Like, unfortunately, you're alone, and they just launched. So you see games coming to the Stadia Pro more and more, and even like launch games. So their one exclusive, Guilt, is now on the Pro. Like, it's what's
So now
the draw?
You don't have to buy that, so it was a little confusing because it wasn't clear, and at the beginning it was not on that. You had to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that would have been the draw. So you would have gone into this, paid for it, and now they've gone and given it to you for free. Similar to what they're doing right now. Everything's a backstep, and in the wrong order.
Well, it pissed. How many people just got pissed off who bought Guilt and went, if I just waited another month or two, I would have had it for free. Like, like it's kind of like when you play your Xbox Gold games or your PlayStation Plus titles, right? And you go, oh crap, man, I just picked that game up, but now I got it for free because it came out on Plus. It is kind of shit happens, and that's the way it goes. But with Stadia, they just don't have a lot of reach and a lot of titles to do this with, and everything is just becoming free. If they would have done, you have access. If they would have done a Netflix style service, I think that would have been. Because when they first announced Stadia, I thought, honestly, that's the platform we're jumping into. Bought the Founders Edition, and then they're like, oh no, it actually works like this. I'm like, well, fuck. So now I gotta buy the actual console system, and then the game, and your service? Like, you're hitting me for all three of these things? Holy shit.
Yeah, well, now it's kind of starting to function. I think they're slowly working their way there, because there's, let me see, there's 9 titles I have next to me here. So we have Destiny, Grid, Guilt, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Quest, Serious Sam Collection, Spitlings, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks, and Thumper. So notice how there's a few that are missing now that used to be there. So Samurai Showdown, and Farming Simulator, where's that? But so they're starting to cycle in and out. And I think we'll eventually get to that point where it's more of like a Netflix subscription. But maybe this is what tips there. Maybe they get enough people on board that actually loudly complain, and then they decide to do that. Maybe the base that jumped on, the founders like us, were just too small, and
maybe
they're not listening exactly to the feedback. Because I'm sure it's the same all across the board.
Hey, I'm definitely curious to see where the future of Stadia heads, what they're up to.
To be completely honest, I'm not nervous because they've hired on some big names, and I know that like Google's not dumb, so like they know what they're doing. But it just at the same time, it's really starting to look less and less like they do know what they're doing in the video game world.
Well, it just seems to be one misstep after another, unfortunately, and that's the kind of things that's hurting them. It's what the hell? Oh, hang on, my bad. That's old stuff. I was like, what's going on? Like, they brought in Jade Raymond, they brought in Shannon Studstill, so, they've got Phil Harrison, they've got huge people from the industry. But again, it's the lack of games to draw you to their platform is really their biggest struggle. And they obviously have been working on this for a while, and we've known this, and we've stated this before. When you launch a console or a platform, you have to have the software to back it up, and Stadia just doesn't have that software when you're competing against Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, who have been established now for years to decades and have a vast library. And then you're dealing with Project xCloud, which is over 50 titles, which is double the size of your.
And free access.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing, it's free too, right? So, man, it's unfortunate because I really liked where they're taking the tech and moving forward with Stadia. So I guess it's something I knew was going to be a little rocky, but it's really, really rocky, and it's a big concern, right? But that's kind of how it goes. We'll see where they end up next. They've got some. I think they're slowly working their way out of a hole that they've situated themselves in. So we'll see how they draw themselves out of this hole, because they got the talent and the names behind them to make something I think that's pretty incredible. But they're right now really suffering in the industry compared to everybody else. But yeah. Nate, what else we got on the dock there, buddy? Or is that like we've covered a lot?
Dude, that's pretty much everything, man. Really.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not a bad stream. There's lots to talk about
another
there.
delay.
What's being delayed?
For Honors, sorry, season 4, whatever, season 5. I can't remember what season they're on, but they're the next edition of the season is being pushed back by like 2 months, so we're not gonna get it till like mid-June, unfortunately. And that's just, again, this COVID. It's just
hitting everybody and everything.
Everyone.
Yeah, there's just not much you can do about it. That's why I said, so you talk about this being delayed. My other biggest concern, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show, was Ghost of Tsushima being delayed as well. That's
man.
Right. Like I think they're launching in June, end of May, so they're not far away. So I can't. If this keeps up for COVID, like I don't think we're getting that game right now.
Bethesda's really kept quiet about that, and with their recent announcement of how they're doing or not doing E3 or whatever,
I think it saved
doing
them.
anything. So I don't know. It's really kind of makes me nervous. I hope everyone with that company and everything. I hope it's all going well though, because
we'll see.
It's a big amount of stress over there.
Yeah. Well, they finally announced their Wastelands trailer. They released that today. So I don't know. NPCs are finally in the game. Something that should have been there from the get-go. It's been a rocky ride for Fallout 76, which is unfortunate because I know how many people love the Fallout series and the franchise. Yeah, Nate obviously being one of them. It never really drew me in, but I always kind of like to dabble and see how it goes and see their systems. But Fallout 76 was just a big change from everything else, and it just fell apart for a lot of people.
I was so excited for one.
It's getting closer to where it should have been at launch, but it's still, from what I've seen, I haven't tried Wastelands out. I don't know if it's out actually.
No, they delayed it
again.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I mean, right? Like it's just a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah. Well, and that was and then what was their entry to Battle Royale thing that
was a pretty big flop.
And then so it's just misdirect after misdirect.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Battle Royale, that was hilarious. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot about Nuclear Winter, whatever the heck they called it.
That's what it was. Yeah,
like it was. Oh my god.
Honestly, it could have worked though, especially for like a Fallout game. I thought it could have fit, but it just
it's just because the game sucked to begin with. Or sorry, the game wasn't that great, so it just they kind of. You can't polish a turd. Is that how the saying goes?
Yeah. Well, you can. Look at No Man's Sky. Obviously, it's been flipped right around, right?
That's been polished pretty good.
Damn right it has. It's really come out of the water. Even. So when you see a story like No Man's Sky and Hello Games and what they're able to do to turn the title around, you got to have faith, especially when it comes to Bethesda and Todd Howard and all those guys over there and Pete Hines. And
I want to see them clear their name like Sean Murphy did from Hello Games, and like that was just. Ooh, but when they came out and everybody was honest and open about it, and then just so we're making another game basically on top of this one. Don't worry.
Well, and then Sean Murray and the team just announced a new title too, like a little indie kind of indoor project kind of thing behind the scenes. It was looks pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for that one.
Yeah.
So it's
I
an
bet they
Xbox
hired a spokesman
exclusive.
for this one, so
Yeah,
I'm a little more excited.
Sean Murray kind of buried himself a little bit, didn't he? Which is unfortunate, right? He's
Yeah,
so
he's-
passionate about the game, it's sometimes a little harder to kind of explain and just kind of dug a hole.
It's a heartbreaking situation, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate. But I think that's going to wrap up this week for Inside the Game. We'll be back next week. Look for us every day, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. over on Twitch, starting on Monday. And we're going to start with a new series, and we're going to play through the Gears 5 game. Looking forward to doing that. And that's starting on Monday, 10 a.m.
What's our Twitch handle?
Eastern. Twitch channel, the official ITG. Look for us over there. So until next week, see you later. Thanks for
See ya.
watching.